The reports are now official. After 3 seasons with the Ravens, Calais Campbell will write a new chapter in his NFL career, one that features the Atlanta Falcons. Campbell certainly left his mark not only on the Ravens organization, but in the community as well. The 36-year-old 6-time Pro Bowler. He's a first-class individual on and off the field, doing all of the right things. Campbell posting a heartfelt goodbye on his Instagram page, thanking the Ravens in the city of Baltimore, going on to say, quote, "Although we didn't get to hoist a Lombardi trophy, we sure did have a great time chasing it. Thank you for embracing me. With love, Calais." 1 year in College Park wasn't enough for Maryland guard Jameer Young. The fan favorite and Terp star opted to return and play 1 more year under head coach Kevin Willard. He explains what led to his big decision and why he wasn't ready to leave just yet.
The decision was really based off of, just me, like how I was feeling was the best decision for me and my family. And I really thought just coming back was that. So, I mean, it really was, the atmosphere, the fans are great, getting feedback and saying things I need to work on. And, I feel like I'll be able to showcase that next year.
Well, mark your calendars. On April 8th, Young will be signing autographs and meeting fans at Terrapin's Turf in College Park. The event will benefit St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. Hard not to root for that guy. Jasmine.
Thanks, Rocco. We are getting ready for the next weather maker that's going to lead to showers tonight and then tomorrow. We start with rain for your Saturday morning, along with very windy conditions. We start to dry out by the afternoon, reaching the 70s, but more rain returns overnight. We dry out by Sunday with plenty of sunshine. Coming up, I'll have a look at the timing of the rain and how windy it gets in about 20 minutes. Back to you.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6, crime legislation getting held up in Annapolis, the growing frustration as the violence continues statewide. And who is the man prosecuting former President Donald Trump? The latest on the indictment and what we know about Alvin Bragg.
Ahead on Fox 45 News at 6, the indictment of former President Trump, a timeline of when he will arrive in New York as local elected leaders issue very different reactions.
We're not numb to the 300-some-odd people that's killed every year.
Residents make a plea to leaders in Annapolis, urging them to pass bills intended to reduce crime. We make their voices heard. And Tornado Alley living up to its name. An outbreak continues right now. The moment meteorologists at our sister station in Little Rock see the damage from this twister for the first time.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Megan Gilland. The Fox 45 News at 6 starts right now with the exclusive Fox Track, your Baltimore Minute.
A Fox 45 non-scientific news poll shows 100% of Baltimore residents feel lawmakers are not taking the crime crisis serious. One bill, House Bill 481, backed by Ivan Bates, would increase the maximum jail time to 5 years for carrying an illegal gun for those over 21. Making the punishment equal for everyone 18 or older.
Our streets are too violent. There is a loss of conflict resolution, and guns are too plentiful.
Karan Alston was taken into custody in Baltimore City March 29th. The 27-year-old had a nearly 4-week-old warrant out for his arrest, and according to court records, was the suspect in at least 6 other recent crimes, including attempted murder.
Mr. Alston probably should not have been released. The question is, did the court that released him have all of the information regarding his criminal history, regarding his release status?
Our top story tonight, time running out for lawmakers in Annapolis to pass bills aimed at reducing crime. Among them, one that would increase jail time for repeat violent offenders, another that would make stealing a handgun a felony, and a third that City State's Attorney Ivan Bates has lobbied for. It would increase the maximum possible sentence for anyone 21 and older caught illegally possessing a handgun. As Vincent Hill reports, while even that bill has bipartisan support, all 3 remain in legislative purgatory.
Yeah, with about 10 days left in session, a lot of these tough on crime bills not getting much support, leaving residents frustrated with lawmakers as people die in the streets of Baltimore.
Across the city,
We're not numb to the 300 some odd people that's killed every year,
people are at their wits' end
and we're tired of it.
over the nonstop violence that seems to take a life almost every day in Baltimore City.
It's nothing stopping you from being the next person killed in Baltimore City.
A Fox 45 non-scientific news poll shows 100% of Baltimore residents feel lawmakers are not taking the crime crisis serious. One bill, House Bill 481, backed by Ivan Bates, would increase the maximum jail time to 5 years for carrying an illegal gun for those over 21, making the punishment equal for everyone 18 or older.
Ivan Bates is right on point.
Congressman Kwasi Mfume supports the bill, saying it's what's best for Baltimore.
Our streets are too violent. There is a loss of conflict resolution, and guns are too plentiful.
However, this bill and many other crime bills, which target violent offenders,
So there's always going to be one side versus the other.
not gaining much support from lawmakers in Annapolis.
There's been a history of such bills being defeated in past years.
Towson University professor of rhetoric Richard Vatz says lawmakers are more talk than action when it comes to crime.
They typically don't have the courage of their convictions. They imply they're appalled by Baltimore as being a war zone, but they typically have cold feet when it comes to acting.
And as they debate on what's best for Baltimore, it's the reality for residents.
It seems like it's a way of life, but it shouldn't be.
Fed up with the back and forth and wanting change from their elected leaders.
You know, our lawmakers need to concentrate on getting crime straightened out, or we're never going to be okay, and get it cleaned up. Hold these people accountable for their crimes and their violence and their actions.
Meanwhile, this year so far, 51 people have been shot and killed in the city. In Baltimore, Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
All right, Vincent, thank you. When it comes to education, Fox 45 News has found leaders have listened to public outcry. Here in Baltimore City, Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys, a public charter school threatened with closure, got a reprieve from commissioners. And today, members of the House and Senate reached a compromise to keep a state-funded scholarship program for low-income families. Fox 45's Olivia Dance with the boost for families wanting a private education for their children.
Until today, the future of Boost was uncertain, but this resolution provides enough funding to keep the program going. Nefertari Lee's son, Bryce, was a recipient of the Boost program for 4 years, a program that uses state funding to give low-income families the opportunity to send their children to private and parochial schools.
It's a help. It's a lifeline. It's an invaluable program to so many families that are in need.
But the future of the program was in jeopardy after Governor Wes Moore proposed cutting $2 million of funding from the program's current $10 million and eventually eliminating the program altogether.
I think there's always a concern that the program could be cut. I personally was good friends with our former governor and was ensured this was something he stood behind. So I knew the challenge coming in with the new governor.
Let's just get this done.
After much debate between the House and Senate,
Boost was the most contentious issue.
Lawmakers in Annapolis finally came to a deal on Friday.
So with that, we'll sign the report.
It's part of a broader $62.5 billion state budget package.
I'm very pleased by what we've been able to accomplish.
The agreement will put $9 million towards scholarships for the Boost program. An additional $2.5 million will go towards school nurses, security, and other health services for schools with the Boost program. The new resolution also got rid of the possibility of phasing out the program. Senator Cory McRae of Baltimore City says it's a win-win for everyone.
There are moments where compromise is just important, and that's what we can't forget to, and that's what we should always center ourselves around, making sure that how do we solve those differences.
Governor Moore said that public dollars shouldn't be going to private schools, but critics argue public funds go to private endeavors all the time.
I think this is a small drop in the bucket for where we spend other funds and where we could be spending for other money.
The deal saves the Boost program and ensures other children can continue to have the same opportunity that Lee's son had.
At the end of the day, he was able to apply to every college he wanted to and got accepted into every single college that he wanted to.
I spoke with Lee after the deal was announced, and she told me that she's happy with it. It's also important to note that Governor Moore went to private school himself. For now, reporting in Annapolis, I'm Olivia Dance, Fox 45 News.
And Olivia, thank you. Fox 45 News is making your voice heard. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen. That will take you to our website, where we have put together a list of email addresses and phone numbers for your state senators and delegates, including the Speaker of the House and the Senate President. New tonight, Baltimore police have arrested 21-year-old Keyshawn Brooks for a deadly double shooting that happened March 12th along Pennsylvania Avenue in West Baltimore. A 32-year-old was killed, a 24-year-old injured. Brooks is charged with first-degree murder and reckless endangerment. He's currently being held without bail at Central Booking.
Fox 45 News is following the latest in the historic indictment of former President Donald Trump. The former president is expected to be in New York on Monday. On the right side of your screen is a camera from our sister station in Florida looking at his personal jet. On Tuesday is when Trump is expected to go through the formal booking process. A mugshot is expected to be taken. So far, the Biden administration not commenting on the indictment coming from New York, a state case, not federal. However, local politicians, they are talking. Democratic Senator Ben Cardin saying this is an event at an event in Baltimore.
It's a sad day when a former president's indicted, but he's entitled to the presumption of innocence and the full protection of our judicial system, and it should be afforded to him. This should be done without regard to any political influence one way or the other.
Well, Maryland's only Republican in Congress took to Twitter defending Trump, writing, quote, "It's now official. We live in a third world banana republic where the justice system is weaponized against political opponents." Vladimir Putin has nothing on Alvin Bragg. You can stay with Fox 45 News for updates. We will have them right here and on our website at foxbaltimore.com. Megan?
Thank you, Maxine. New developments now in the ongoing search for Larry Hogan's former aide, Roy McGrath. A second book has just been released defending the former governor's chief of staff, who has now been missing for weeks after skipping his trial for wire fraud and embezzlement charges. Federal officials are offering a $20,000 reward for information leading to his arrest. Law enforcement have already raided his Florida home, but found no clues as to where he may be. Once he is found, he will be brought to Maryland for trial.
We are getting ready for the next weather maker, and it will lead to rain impacting some of your weekend plans, but also very windy conditions. On the HD radar right now, we're mostly dry here in Maryland, but to our south, we have showers. And then as we look farther west, we see this cold front and storms ahead of that. There is the potential for severe weather across parts of the country. For us, it's the rain and the winds that will have the impact. We're under this high wind warning through midnight Sunday. We've got the potential for wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour, and even on Sunday, still very breezy. I'll let you know the timing of the rain and when we finally quiet down in my full forecast. Back to you.
All right, Jasmine, thank you. A brand new angle of that tornado that was a direct hit on the Little Arkansas area. Coming up, the compassion and emotion that meteorologists from our sister station there displayed while warning their own community about the danger. Plus, an update on Pope Francis's health as he continues to improve. You have to see the kind act that he performed in the hospital. Around the state, Maryland's top firefighting official is making an emotional appeal this afternoon, and it comes as the state fire marshal is reporting a spike in fatal fires across the state, including one that killed 3 children in Baltimore earlier this month. Brad Bell from our Sinclair sister station in D.C. with the life-saving advice in hopes of preventing another tragedy.
A terrible fire in this Lanham home claims the lives of a retired couple days before they're scheduled to leave on a cruise. A smoky fire in a Silver Spring high-rise kills a 25-year-old as she tries to escape, her father distraught.
She was a very lovely person.
This week, a man in Garrett County dying in this fire. The week before, a couple in St. Mary's losing their lives in this house.
It's out of control.
State Fire Marshal Brian Geraci's job is to investigate and prevent fires statewide. The lives lost eating him up.
People have died. It doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to happen.
For the first time in a long career, Geraci sending out this open letter to Marylanders, sounding the alarm. There have been nearly 40 fire deaths in the first 3 months of this year. twice last year's count, a spike not seen in decades. He says open floor plans and petroleum-based materials in homes are part of the problem.
They burn much faster, much hotter, and you have less time today than at any other time in history to get out of your house if it catches on fire.
Geraci's top advice to prevent a tragedy like what happened here where 2 people died is make sure you have smoke detectors. You've heard that a million times. And if they go off, get out of the house. Don't try to fight the fire yourself.
Once you do get out, if you do get out, stay out. Don't go back in a burning home. We've already lost 2 people this year that went back into a burning house. You're not going to come out alive. It's just not going to happen.
Make a plan, he says, and heed his warning. Fires happen, and one could happen to you. In Rockville, Brad Bell, Fox 45 News.
All right, Brad, thank you. Here's our look at today's top trending stories. Number 1, it could be a preview of what's to come in the case against Alec Baldwin in that deadly movie set shooting. The assistant director, safety coordinator, David Halls, was cited of unsafe handling of a firearm. He gets 6 months probation, and he must pay a $500 fine. It is the first conviction in the case. Number 2, Pope Francis's health continues to improve as he is fighting off bronchitis. Today, he even baptized a young boy at the Rome hospital where he is being treated. The Pope is expected to be released from the hospital tomorrow and back at the Vatican for the start of Holy Week. Number 3, with winds starting to pick up, the famed cherry blossoms in D.C. will probably soon be gone. Today could be the last call at the Tidal Basin as we reach the end of this year's peak bloom. If you were planning a trip there this weekend, expect to see the flower petals flying in the wind and unfortunately not on the trees. Tracking the next weather maker, and part of the system is responsible for a catastrophic tornado outbreak. Our sister station in Arkansas providing warnings for Little Rock and witnessing the damage with possible injuries. Take a look and listen.
Yeah, it is. It is
that is the Colony West area, though, looking from that parking lot there where the Kroger is.
That's Breckenridge Drive that heads north. And those homes there.
So, obvious tornado damage.
That video on Storyteller of the tornado as it moved through West Little Rock. It was obviously, it sounds redundant, violent tornado.
When you look at that, when we say violent, that's devastating. Thoughts and prayers for them. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax joining us. Jasmine, just a very dangerous day in Tornado Alley there.
Yeah, that's right. We are expecting more storms across parts of the country. As this cold front continues to move toward the east, we expect that severe weather to continue for parts of the country. For us, we are talking rain and high winds as this cold front gets closer to us. Fortunately, no tornado threats here. Notice we have these 2 areas in hot pink. That is a high risk for severe weather, threat level 5 of 5. That's as bad as it can get. For us, we're in that light green shade. Maybe we could have a few rumbles of thunder, but the primary impact for us will be high winds. We have this high wind warning running through midnight Sunday. Through this time, we could have gusts up to 50 miles per hour. We're still looking at pretty breezy conditions on Sunday before things start to quiet down on Monday. 66 for the current temperature, and actually higher than we were just an hour ago. We remain overcast, and it is just a little bit breezy now, but those winds are going to pick up. We're seeing temperatures mainly in the 50s and 60s across the state, much warmer than what we had yesterday. It's followed by another warm day tomorrow, but unfortunately, rain will be in the forecast at times along with the windy conditions. We're keeping track on the HD radar of just a few areas of very, very light rain. That rain's going to pick up as we head into the night. Notice over the next few hours, possibly a few isolated showers, but rain chances increase after midnight. As we head past daybreak, we're waking up to showers, possibly areas of heavy rain, indicated by those yellows and oranges. Notice our wind gust, 40-mile-per-hour wind gust likely ahead of that cold front. Behind that, we enjoy a nice few dry hours before the rain picks it back up as we head into the night, still dealing with those breezy conditions. Things will dry out after midnight, and we're looking at a dry and sunny start to the day on Sunday. We are still talking very breezy conditions with gusts up to 30 miles per hour. 59 for the low overnight, and that is above average. We'll have the clouds and the rain. Then 77 for the high temperature tomorrow. well above average for this time of year, but again, very windy. We are looking at wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Coming up, I'll have a look at what you can expect as we end the weekend and how we warm up next week.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
March is going out like a lion in Utah, and even more snow is in the forecast for early next week. Long before today's thunderstorms arrived, there was an incredible display of lightning last night in central Arkansas. Check out the Omega Sun rising over the Atlantic. What appears to be a second sun is actually an inferior mirage, an inverted image of the sun produced by vertical temperature gradients right on the horizon.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Twitter.
Some lawmakers worried a new bill aimed to protect Americans from TikTok could actually infringe on their constitutional rights. I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington.
Bipartisan support for banning TikTok is growing among Capitol Hill lawmakers, but many disagree on the right way to go about it. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins joins us from Washington.
When addressing concerns over TikTok,
be under no illusion, this is a weapon.
Some lawmakers fighting to ensure the solution isn't worse than the problem.
Use fear to coax Americans.
Senator Rand Paul shooting down fellow Republican Josh Hawley's bill to ban TikTok over First Amendment concerns.
Speech is protected whether you like it or not.
Paul then going after the Bipartisan Restrict Act, pointing out the bill's broad, vague language opens the door for unintended consequences that could infringe on Americans' constitutional rights.
This is a crazy gift of power to one person. And I don't care which party they're in, it's a huge mistake.
Business Insider quoting Republican Senator J.D. Vance, equating the bill to a Patriot Act for the digital age. Vance's comparison referring to the post-9/11 law, created for the purpose of combating future terror attacks, but in reality, it granted the government vast surveillance power, powers the feds used to spy on Americans. Critics like Senator Paul arguing the Restrict Act could have similar unintended consequences, endangering First Amendment rights.
Do you want Joe Biden to be your censor? It would basically be a limitless authority for the president to ban speech.
One of the bill's sponsors, Senator Mark Warner, firing back.
I categorically reject that. The bill is clear that the Secretary of Commerce